Think of the people you interact with every day. Would you want to spend a day in a canoe with them? Hi, I'm Nathan Mercero, CEO of Planning Alternatives. We're a disruptive brand in the financial planning space with a point of view that true wealth has nothing to do with money. Growing up in a small town in Canada, I experienced examples of families with money and without. It started me on this journey of understanding wealth and the idea that spending a day in a canoe with someone could be one of the best investments you could make. Join me as I sit down with leaders, entrepreneurs, creatives, rule breakers, and friends to discover their perspective of true wealth. And maybe you'll start to shift yours. I'm delighted today to be joined by Christer Rosén, who's joining us from Sweden. And Chris is a seasoned biotech entrepreneur and CEO and founder of Jupiter Neurosciences, a clinical stage company developing therapies for brain inflammation and mitochondrial dysfunction. Chris, welcome to Day in a Canoe. What is it that Jupiter Neuroscience is focused on, and what motivated you in this whole endeavor?
Thank you, Nathan, for inviting me and so on. And to try to cut it short, I've been in the pharmaceutical biotech area for now about 20 years. This is really my background as a computer scientist, but dabble in. I'm very focused on finding a solution for a problem if there is a problem that pops up to me. And what happened, and I sold out of my earlier company that I founded, EffRx Pharmaceuticals, where I actually invented an osteoporosis product treatment. And I moved the company to Switzerland. And when I moved back 2015, a professor at University of Miami that happened to be Swedish like I am, he called me up and said, Chris, we have done the research for a rare disease he called MPS1 and tested 15,000 compound, and to our really high surprise, a high dose of the natural compound resveratrol came up as the best product for treatment. However, a high dose of resveratrol causes severe gastrointestinal side effects. And then they said my team has studied all the scientific papers on resveratrol and found that there's something called a bioavailability is the culprit. So you don't get enough in your bloodstream. You can take it, but I guess the liver think it's red wine that goes down, there, because that's where resveratrol exists in red wine. There's an old story about that. That was very popular in the early 2000s and so on. Reality is that the liver cleans out over 99% of what you ingest with a regular resveratrol on the market. So we needed to, and he actually, Professor Klaus Wallstedt said, we either have to find a way where we get 4 to 5 times higher amount in the bloodstream, then we can really have something. If we can't do that, forget about it. So together with my scientists that usually work for me, have worked for me before, and another team, we found a little technology company in Germany that had what's called a unique micellar preparation. And we then developed our product, a formulation around that. We got it patented. We got National Institute on Aging to finance a phase 1 study targeting for Alzheimer's. And to our delight and a bit surprise, which showed that we have about 9 times more bioavailability. What that means is that with a much smaller dose, you can get enough in your bloodstream to have a therapeutic effect. So it really is, a game changer. We kind of like, we have several scientists that the Alzheimer's key opinion leaders that then joined us from Harvard, MIT, Georgetown University. We also work with Murdoch Children's Research Institute in Australia. And they said, okay, you cracked the code. It's very unusual, however, with the natural compound in the pharmaceutical space. So it's not easy to get funding that way. This is like very specific mechanism. They wanted to be a new chemical entity and so on, although we have patents. So yeah, that was very hard track. So most of it is self-funded. So even now when we have gone public, the management team and myself, we own over 50% of the company. Sounds smart, but there's a lot of suffering in between. We worked about 3.5 years without taking salaries and so on. And so a bit of a gamble, but we're convinced that we have something that can be a solution for many, CNS neurological, diseases. And my mother passed away in Alzheimer's, and there's a lot of people that know someone that's have Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, and it you get a bit of a fear that it can happen to yourself when you have it close to you. And, it's very well known that it's escalating very highly. So we don't see it as necessarily what we now have developed as the drug for or a treatment for that will cure you or anything, but we think it's going to be a very important ingredient in a combination that can do it. And more or less, whenever you talk with Alzheimer's specialists, no one thinks that there's going to be one drug that's going to be the holy grail. It's going to be a combination of products and so on. And I think that we can fit in there.
Well, thank you for the work that you're doing. My mother passed away from Alzheimer's as well. So it's always been a topic that has been really on my dashboard of creating awareness around. What's your point of view on how much of the development of brain health is based on genetics, and then how much can treatment influence? Where's the balancing act where, hey, genetically there's a train rolling down the track and it's just not really stoppable versus it is stoppable or modifiable? What's your point of view on that?
I have to say that being a original computer scientist and so on, and I'm not a pharmaceutical scientist or a doctor that degree, but I know to hire the best possible people around me. When we started, this is my 14th company that I start, and you learn more from failures than successes. Success is very easy. And many times when you don't succeed is because you miss something. So I learned quite early to hire the best possible people that are willing to, work with me. So listening to the scientists, and I had a question as well, when you have had it close to you. Genetics is an extremely small part of the Alzheimer's spectrum. It's mostly your own lifestyle and what you can do. So there's a lot of things that you can do yourself. Some of them very boring, so people don't do it. And then they rather take a pill or something if they can, and so on. But keeping, I can just look at my mother who got Alzheimer's and died of that, and versus my mother-in-law who was at 95, tripped and fell because she'd been out partying, and very active and curious about everything, knew everything about and watched the news and, and I had a big social life. While my mother for the past 10 years, more or less, was laying in a bed looking in the ceiling, so yeah, being active and try to, be healthy. I was just at a longevity conference, which is an additional field that we have entered in London, and all those biohacker gurus said the best thing for a long and healthy life, including your brain, is at least 8 hours of very good sleep every day. And I was surprised how much they were talking about just sleep and how important that is and so on. So it's there's a lot that you can do yourself, and with some exercise and so on that just helps things to be better in your brain and so on. So it's which is encouraging, but it's also hard for many people to change the lifestyle.
It's interesting how our society has gotten more active, and then especially with digital connections, social media, virtual conferences, it's like we're always available, but that actually disrupts your internal systems. I myself have been working on my improving my sleep, and I track things and wear a tracking
Any what?
device, and
Yeah.
it's been noticeable over the last few months since I've been trying to focus on what's referred to as sleep hygiene, taking care of things
Yeah.
more.
No. And we have one of our professors that is involved is professor at Harvard, Dr. Rudy Rudolph Tansey, and he has a book out that's called Shields, and that's if you believe that S in that stands for sleep, and then he has the whole of exercise and eating healthy and all that stuff. So there's more or less a guidance what you can do, yourself and so on. So it's so I think the thing with genetics, I have to say the scientists that we deal with, they more or less set that aside. That they said it's a very small percentage. So I think that you and me, we shouldn't be worried that much about that. So
Sure.
you know,
Now, when you put a team together from a leadership perspective to tackle a big problem, what are the categories or who are the players on the field as you try to assemble a team to solve a big problem?
it's a good question. I seem to have a knack of I mean, I started a disco when I was 17, and then I got the best DJ around, and then suddenly I borrowed money from my father, and I could pay him back after 6 months, and then and so on. And that was before I started this, my studies as a computer scientist and so on. And when I had a computer consulting company, I had the best, you know, I found the best programmers, and this was in early days, like early 70s, and there was not too many around. So, um, and then my wife and I, we bought some hotels and restaurants in Sweden at the same time. It's required that you have really good people. You have to have a really good chef. And, so my whole thinking is, um, when it comes to any product that you do, anything that you do, you need to see that you have quality, you deliver on time, and the price should be reflecting that they think that they get a really good deal. And if that means the cover fee to get into to a disco, or a steak that you sell, or osteoporosis medication, the way it's priced, or now Alzheimer's medication, which is a big topic in the U.S. Being Swedish originally, I know that the prices are totally different on drugs here, so there's more accessible for people in that respect and so on. So I think that covers it. And then when it came to our specific project now with the resveratrol, which and our own formulated product, we call it Jotrol. Um, then it was seeking out the people that have either been involved in resveratrol work before, and now we have solved the big problem, which like Professor Lee Tsai, who runs the um, uh, memory and learning center at MIT, and she's one of the gurus in the world in Alzheimer's. She said, "Oh, she was so happy to be involved." So she's on our scientific advisory board. Dr. Tansey, as I mentioned it before, and then was the Georgetown professors Turner and Musa. They had done a resveratrol study in Alzheimer's patients. So I contacted them and asked them to be involved, and they are now. So I think that if anyone has a good concept and a good solution for us, my experience is that don't be afraid to go and talk with the best there is. If you have something that is interesting, they find it interesting, they join you. I mean, that's and I have not done it with any money or anything like that. They said, "Hey, if this works, you get options in the company, and if it works, then we all benefit from it. Hopefully, we're gonna get something that everyone in the world gonna want to have." So it's so fairly simple. And I said, I'm not shy, so I dare to ask. The worst thing that can happen is to say no. I don't want to be involved, but a lot of people say yes. So
Well, it sounds like you're a great visionary to say, here's the direction that we can head.
Mm.
And I'm hearing you say that getting the best people aligned on the team is the key ingredient to success.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Given you've got a good product platform, what are some of the lessons that you learned that you can say to other entrepreneurs listening, outside of get the best people? What are some maybe takeaways in your career that stand out as a valuable thing to pass on to others?
Try to do as much homework yourself, in the beginning. The simplest thing I can tell you is that when we moved to Florida 1983, my wife and I, and we have owned some restaurants and so on. So, okay, let's open up. There was no nice restaurants in North Palm Beach area. So we opened a very nice restaurant. We were written up in the paper as the best, new restaurant in Northern Palm Beach County. But the question was, well, why did they put a location that there's no parking? And in Sweden, you don't drink and drive, just you don't think about parking. We just didn't do the homework, and so it didn't work out. Yeah. After we had like 5 tables were full, there was no parking, no parking spaces left. So it's simple, small things sometimes just make things doesn't work. So it's a lot of things. It's all these small details that makes it going the wrong way. And be prepared to put everything your own yourself into the whole thing. People say I'm crazy, because I'm all in on the things that I do and so on. But and as soon as you use other people's money, have respect for that. Don't start by buying a Lamborghini or a NetJet or something like that. That's see that you give them some results first.
We talk with our clients about true wealth in the context of what's most important and fulfilling in life, and then aligning their financial resources and all the components of their life to that through point, that direction. What is fulfillment mean to you? What does that look like? What's your true wealth direction that is energizing to you?
Kids and grandkids. I mean, my family. It's all. My wife and I, we will celebrate 53 years in September.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And, we have 5 grandkids and, 2 kids, 5 grandkids. I was just out this morning because it's, 6-hour time difference. And played golf with my son and his son, who is 7 years old. And that was his first 18-hole round, where that is actually scoring round today. And it's so much fun. There's nothing that gives me more feeling of wealth and happiness than something that see the little guy being really happy and not complaining more than on the last hole. He hit 2 drives in the water, and that was his favorite golf ball, one of them, so that it's but it's in the fulfillment comes more financially. I'm not a good example because I'm a risk taker. So I if someone I'm very well aware of that the criticism I can get, from any kind of advisors and so on, is that if the money is needed, then I put it in.
Mhm.
And I said, no, you shouldn't. So like, well, I believe in it, and I think it's going to work. And so I'm not the best model probably for when you think monetary things and so on. But the project that we're doing now, where we also added a nutraceutical line based on our product that we use now for Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's. Yeah, I think it's the most fun and exciting things that I've ever done. And because when you look at biotech, then it's very binary normally. So it's either a big success and a very, very small percentage get the approval, or a big pharma buy them, or you spend a lot of money and then it shows in the clinical trial that it doesn't work. We have a natural compound. We have a lot of scientific data through our research in Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And we just decided about 8 months ago to utilize the product that is still a natural compound in combination with others and create a nutraceutical line. We have announced it's called Nugivia. And because then people can utilize all the benefits of that now, right? Because my thinking was to get approval with Alzheimer's is going to take probably another 6 to 8 years. Parkinson's may be a little shorter, but in the meantime, we have something that can be valuable for people now, and we have all the data. So I said, let's do it, and yeah, and of course, then a bit criticism comes from some analysts that say, well, you might kill the really big upside that you can get in the pharmaceutical pricing scheme. And I said, well, when you buy nutraceutical, you pay for the product the way it is, whatever price. If it's a when to come to pharmaceuticals, you can get reimbursed from insurance companies. The insurance companies will probably not accept more than maybe twice the price that we have for the nutraceutical. We're still going to make a lot of money on it. There's going to be enough. So that's because here we're talking millions of people that can get benefits from this. Yeah, I mean I'm not the perfect pharma guy at all in that respect, I have to say. So it's so anyway, so that's all.
You're making an impact, Chris. I want to thank you for joining us today. Your story is inspiring. I want to wish you all the best with the work that you're doing, the impact you're making, and the future golf games that are filled with fun.
Okay. Well, I especially for my son, my grandchildren now. So
your grandchildren's golf games. That's where true wealth is. That's where true wealth is.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review. To discover what wealth means to you, please take our assessment at planningalt.com.